freedom requires religion, just as religion requires freedom. We are a nation under God, and in God we do indeed trust. America must never falter in holding high the banner of freedom.
Picture this. In frozen winter of 1620, a small band of pilgrims huddle abroad the Mayflower, escaping England's iron grip on faith. They watch friends in prison. They've seen Bibles burned. They witness worship outlawed, all because they dared to follow their conscience. Now look at Seoul today. An 82-year-old woman, Dr. Hak Ja Han, the mother of peace, slowly wasting away in a cold concrete cell. Why? Because her voice for unity threatens the people in power. We've seen this before. Here's what's happening, and why it marks the first crack in democracy's foundation. Let me walk you through the parallels. Two rivers, different eras, but merging into the same dangerous flood. Starting with America's birth, those pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock, carrying a simple truth. Without religious freedom, there is no liberty. King James I labeled them as radicals, shut down their gatherings, spied on the ceremonies, imprisoned their leaders. Sound familiar? It should. They understood something governments still fear today. State control over faith leads to control over everything. Speech, assembly, conscience, even thought itself. That is why the founders etched into the First Amendment in 1791. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. It wasn't written just for believers. It was the cornerstone of democratic survival, a shield against tyrants who silence dissent by calling it heresy. Now fast forward to South Korea. President Lee Jae-myung takes office in June, and within weeks, churches become battlegrounds. Police raids hit the Yeouido Full Gospel Church, one of the largest in the world. Computers are seized. Pastors are interrogated. The Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, co-founded by Dr. Hak Ja Han, faces relentless political attacks. Then September 22nd, authorities drag Dr. Han, frail, recovering from heart surgery, out of her hospital bed and into a windowless detention cell. The charges? Bribery, for donations that look a lot more like political retaliation. This is the widow of Reverend Sun Myung-moon, a man who survived North Korean labor camps in the 1950s for preaching against communism. Her crime today? Building bridges across faith, organizing peace rallies that gather millions, promoting unity instead of division. But in Lee's Korea, unity is a threat. Meanwhile, in Busan, Pastor Hyun-bo leads his Segyero church through fierce cultural storms. A former special forces soldier, he stands against law that could jail pastors for speaking on family and morality. In 2024, he rallied over 2 million Koreans to defend traditional values. We must protect our children from radical ideologies, he declares. But on September 8, 2025, they haul him away. The accusation? Election law violations. His crime? Interviewing a political candidate about education during a worship service. No evidence presented. Yet he's locked in a mold-infested cell, denied flu medicine, forced into prison uniform. His son Chan Son pleads, this is persecution, not justice. These attacks aren't isolated, they're part of a known sequence, the authoritarian playbook. Let's look at Romania in the 1970s. Ceaușescu begins by raiding Orthodox churches, labeling pastors subversive. From there, he censors the press, jails critics, and collapses democracy into dictatorship. Venezuela in the 2000s, Chávez targets Catholic leaders who oppose socialist failures. Then, media silence, institutions crumble, a nation collapses. It always starts the same way. Hit the faith leaders first, because they're the only ones brave enough to speak when others are silent. In Korea, religious persecution is the mask. The real agenda runs deeper. Proposed laws threaten 5 years in prison for criticizing China. Conservative voices erased from media. Anti-China protests crushed. Journalists intimidated. Who benefits? Leaders tightening their ties with Beijing, trading sovereignty for political security. Once faith leaders fall, journalists fall, activists fall, everyday citizens fall. Democracy doesn't die from one blow, it dies from 1,000 small cuts, starting at the pulpit. Sound familiar? Because it should. America's founders warned us religious freedom guards against tyranny. Without it, governments rewrite truth, control narratives, and label dissent as hate. Exactly what Soviet regimes did in the 1930s, branding believers as enemies of the state. Today, Korea is sliding down the same path, risking its alliances with the US and destabilizing the entire region. But here's what they missed. They underestimated the faithful. Dr. Han's followers pray nightly outside her prison. Pastor Son's congregation shaved their head in ancient protest, echoing Koreans' resistance to Japanese occupation in 1919. Global voices are rising. US leaders like Mike Pompeo condemned the lawfare, And now, here's the revolution. This isn't just Korea's fight, it's ours. Because when democracy crumbles there, the shockwaves hit everywhere. We've seen the pattern, we know the consequences, and we know how these stories end when people stay silent. So what comes next? Action. Demand the release of Dr. Hak Ja Han and Pastor Hyun-bo. Stand with the people defending their faith and their freedom. Support alliances that protect democracy before authoritarianism spreads, because history is uncomfortably clear. When faith stands, democracy endures. The only question now is, do we act before it's too late or after?